Lauren Brooks pushed open the glass doors of Tiny Steps Baby Superstore with the kind of resolve that comes only from desperation. Her hands trembled as she clutched the small, pastel-colored rattle, the same one that had nearly taken her son's life. She hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were ringed with exhaustion, but there was a fire in them now, sharp and unrelenting. She wasn't here for store credit or an apology read off a script. She was here for the truth. Inside, the store buzzed with the usual chaos. Mothers comparing stroller models, dads chasing toddlers down aisles stacked with formula and onesies. Lauren headed straight to the customer service counter, every footstep a silent war drum. When the cashier greeted her with a chipper, "How can I help you today?" she didn't answer immediately. Instead, she placed the rattle on the counter like it was a piece of evidence. Her voice, when it came, was taut with fury. "This," she said, "almost killed my son." The cashier blinked, caught off guard. "Ma'am, if you have a defective item, we can." "I don't want a refund," Lauren snapped, her voice rising. "I want to know how a choking hazard made it onto your shelves. My son was in the ER 2 nights ago. This isn't the first time. Another toy from this store put him there just last month." People nearby had begun to pause, mid-conversation. A mother pushing a cart full of diapers turned slowly. A father with a crying toddler shifted uneasily. Tension rippled through the air. The cashier glanced nervously around before calling for a manager. Moments later, a sharply dressed man appeared, all cold politeness and corporate composure. "Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but if you continue raising your voice, I'll have to ask you to leave." Lauren's composure cracked. Her voice broke as she said, "My baby could have died, and all you care about is your liability." That sentence, raw, loud, human, hung in the air like a thunderclap. A few customers moved closer. One woman took out her phone, discreetly recording. The manager's jaw clenched. Security was called, but Lauren didn't budge. She stood her ground, trembling, breath short, fury fighting tears. In that moment, one question dug itself into the minds of everyone watching, whether in the store or behind a screen later that night. What really happened to Lauren's baby? And what is this store trying so hard to hide? 1 year ago, Lauren Brooks was nesting. Her belly round with possibility, she moved quietly through the half-finished nursery of her small 2-bedroom apartment in Atlanta, brushing dust off the crib rail and folding onesies into neat, hopeful stacks. She was newly single, still aching from the sting of betrayal. Her high school sweetheart, Eric, had walked out mid-pregnancy, leaving her not just alone, but humiliated. The discovery of his affair with her best friend had come like a gut punch, and while Lauren told herself she was better off, the silence in the apartment often begged to differ. Money was tight. Between working 2 part-time jobs, nights as a receptionist at a dental clinic and weekend shifts at a bookstore, she pinched every penny. When an ad for a new online chain, Nestling Baby Co., popped up promising luxury baby goods at warehouse prices, Lauren clicked without hesitation. The site was slick, full of pastel branding and reassurances, all products rigorously tested, safety certified, pediatrician approved. It felt like a lifeline. She bought bottles, pacifiers, teething rings, soft toys, all for less than half the price of what she'd seen at the big box stores. When the first shipment arrived, her mother, Gloria, came by to help unpack. Gloria, a retired nurse with little patience for shortcuts, raised an eyebrow at the flimsy packaging and oddly generic warning labels. "These look like knockoffs," she muttered, turning over a rattling teether. "Cheap things always cost more later." Lauren waved her off, tired of constantly defending her choices. It's all certified, she said. They wouldn't be allowed to sell them otherwise. But that quiet voice inside her, some buried maternal instinct, never fully relaxed. The tension in Lauren's life ran deeper than just finances. Her relationship with her older sister, Maya, was strained, bordering on non-existent. Maya, a high-powered attorney in D.C., hadn't visited since their father's funeral 4 years ago. Their estrangement dated back even further, to when a teenage Lauren had accidentally let slip to their conservative, church-going father that Maya had gotten an abortion in college. The fallout had been catastrophic: yelling, accusations, a chasm of guilt that had never quite closed. Maya had left home and never looked back. And though they exchanged the occasional stiff text, neither had made the first real move toward reconciliation. Now in the present, Lauren sat in a sterile hospital room beside her son's crib, her fingers curled tightly around the edge of the blanket. Malik, barely 10 months old, lay hooked up to monitors, his tiny chest rising and falling with unnatural precision. The doctors had just finished explaining. A plastic shard, clear and jagged, had been lodged in his throat, likely broken off from the teething toy he'd been chewing on that morning. The brand? Nestling Baby Co. Lauren's body went cold, the same toy she'd handed him absent-mindedly while fixing breakfast. The same one that had come in the discount bundle, marketed as non-toxic and FDA cleared. She had made the call to Nestling's customer service line immediately, her voice tight with fear and restrained anger. But the response was clinical, dismissive. "We've received no such reports of defective products. If you believe your item was compromised, please review our return policy online." The representative sounded barely interested. When Lauren pressed further, mentioning hospitalization, mentioning choking, they hung up. That night, while Malik dozed under the soft beeping rhythm of machines, Lauren sat in the dark, staring at her phone. She scrolled through forums, looking for complaints, reviews, anything that might confirm her experience. But everything looked polished. The site was filled with glowing testimonials, most likely curated or fake. A pit formed in her stomach. She wasn't just dismissed, she was being erased. Grief gave way to fury. Her baby could have died. And someone, somewhere, was banking on the fact that a single mother with no connections and no resources would just fade into silence. But Lauren had spent her entire life underestimated. By Eric, by Maya, even by her own self-doubt. Not this time. This time, they were going to listen. The letter arrived 2 days after Lauren posted her story online. A grainy photo of the broken teether, the plastic shard resting beside Malik's hospital bracelet, and a caption that simply read, "This nearly killed my son. Nestling Baby Co. refuses to take responsibility. Please, parents, check your products." Within hours, the post had gone modestly viral among local parenting groups, shared and reshared by mothers who'd heard whispers or had doubts themselves. Lauren had barely begun to feel the stirrings of courage when the envelope came, slid under her door without fanfare. The logo at the top was corporate, sterile. The language inside was worse, cold and calculated. A cease and desist from Nestling Baby Co.'s legal team. The letter accused her of spreading false, damaging information, of attempting to incite public outrage against a reputable company. It threatened civil action, defamation, legal damages. They demanded she remove all posts immediately and refrain from further see. Lauren read the letter 3 times before the words stopped swimming. Her hands shook, not with fear, but with rage. She felt cornered, small, exactly the way Nestling wanted her to feel. The way corporations always made people like her feel. Poor, disposable, powerless. But her son's tiny hand had wrapped around that toy. He had nearly died. And now, they were threatening her? For the first time in nearly 4 years, Lauren picked up the phone and called her sister. Maya answered after the 3rd ring. Her voice was as clipped and poised as Lauren remembered. "Lauren?" A pause. "I need legal advice," Lauren said, without preamble. Another pause. "You only call when you're drowning." "I'm not asking you to save me," Lauren said, her voice cracking. "I'm asking you to help my son." That landed. The silence after was longer, heavier. "Email me everything you have," Maya finally said. "I'll look into it." That night, while Malik slept curled into her side, Lauren dove deeper into the online parenting groups she'd recently joined. She posted again, this time more carefully. She didn't name the company, just asked if anyone else had experienced defective baby products from a popular news store. The responses trickled in slowly at first, then came all at once. Among them were 2 messages that took her breath away. One mother, living just outside Savannah, had a toddler who suffered a severe intestinal blockage after swallowing part of a Nestling-branded bottle nipple. "They paid me to sign an NDA," the woman wrote, "but I still wake up crying some nights." Another woman had lost her infant daughter, choked during nap time on a stuffed rattle. "It was Nestling. They gave me money to bury her and never speak again." Lauren stared at the screen for a long time. Her pulse pounded in her ears. These weren't isolated mistakes. They weren't rare accidents. Nestling knew. It all started to click into place. The slick website, the too-good-to-be-true discounts, the aggressively sanitized customer reviews. The legal letter wasn't just about silencing her. It was about silencing all of them. Nestling had built its business model on cheap, substandard products and bought silence one grieving mother at a time. Suddenly, Lauren's anger crystallized into purpose. This wasn't just about Malik anymore. This was about every parent who'd ever trusted the word safety certified, and every child who'd suffered because of it. They thought she would fold, that she had no power. But Lauren wasn't alone anymore, and Nestling had just made its biggest mistake. They'd threatened a mother who had nothing left to lose, and a sister who knew exactly how to fight. The legal wheels began to turn slowly, but with force. Maya, cool and calculated behind her wall of experience, quietly began building a class action case against Nestling Baby Co. It started with threads and whispers, former employees, unverifiable rumors, and silent settlements, but soon broke wide open when a packet of leaked emails landed in her inbox. The sender, anonymous at first, turned out to be a former quality assurance manager named Aaron, fired 6 months prior under vague circumstances. The emails were damning. Nestling's senior leadership discussing shortcuts in product testing to meet quarterly sales goals. Materials flagged as unfit for infant use were pushed through without retesting. There were internal warnings about overseas manufacturers mixing unregulated plastics into product molds. One executive wrote casually, "They're babies. They chew on everything. No one's going to test a broken rattle." When Maya read those words aloud to Lauren, her voice was calm, but Lauren felt something unravel inside her. The betrayal went deeper than faulty toys. It was a calculated gamble that these lives wouldn't fight back. That people like her, overworked, underpaid, and unheard, wouldn't make it to court. But the price of fighting started to show. Shortly after, Maya quietly reached out to a network of other affected families. Lauren was doxxed. Her home address was posted online. Strangers sent her messages calling her a liar, an opportunist, even accusing her of exploiting her child for attention. Someone sent her a photo of Malik from her Instagram, scribbled over in red. It made her physically sick. Then came Eric. He showed up unannounced, all smooth concern and faux outrage. "I heard what's going on," he said. "You're putting Malik in danger, getting involved in all this legal drama. You're unstable, Lauren." He had a smugness she hadn't seen in years. "I'm filing for temporary custody." She couldn't breathe. It was the kind of cold, precise blow that shattered whatever strength she'd barely managed to hold together. For a day, she considered giving it all up, deleting the posts, backing out of the lawsuit, crawling back into quiet survival. What if Eric won? What if this dragged on and Malik paid the price? That night, Maya came over with 2 thick folders and a hard look. She didn't sugarcoat it. "If this goes to trial," she said, "they're going to come for everything. Your finances, your parenting, your past. You'll be picked apart." Lauren was silent. Maya pressed further. "Are you ready for that? You need to be. Not just for the case, for Malik." And then, as if the universe heard the hesitation, Lauren got a message in the Facebook group. A mother in Charlotte. Her 6-month-old daughter had just been admitted to the ER. Same symptoms, same toy, same brand. Lauren didn't wait. She pulled out every receipt, every hospital record, every email and timestamp she could find. She started scanning and uploading everything into a folder Maya had created, something about evidence logs and discovery phases. Lauren didn't understand the legal jargon, but she understood this. She would not be bullied into silence again. The online community exploded. More parents shared their stories. A local journalist reached out. Then, 2 more. A regional paper ran a story titled "The Hidden Dangers of Nestling Baby Co." And then came Aaron. He agreed to meet Lauren in a cafe on the east side of the city, hat pulled low and eyes darting. He was in his 30s, tired-looking, with the air of someone carrying the weight of decisions made in dim-lit offices. His voice shook slightly. "We use cheap plastic," he said. The lad flagged it. "They didn't care. We were told." He paused, swallowing. "Babies can't talk. They won't remember." Lauren felt sick. It wasn't a flaw. It was the business model. Back home, things with Maya began to crack. For weeks they had moved in unspoken rhythm, focused on the case. But now the pressure bubbled over. Maya watched Lauren closely. Too closely. Every moment of doubt. Every glance of exhaustion was met with a hard stare. "You can't fall apart," she said one night. "I need to know you won't collapse on the stand." Lauren snapped. "You don't get to talk about falling apart. You left me. You left me when everything fell apart." Maya's voice rose. "And you told Dad about the abortion. You destroyed my life." "I was 16. I made a mistake," Lauren shouted back. "But you disappeared. You let me go through everything alone." Silence. The kind that makes old wounds throb again. "I didn't know how to come back," Maya said, finally. "You reminded me of everything I hated about myself." "And you reminded me of everything I lost," Lauren whispered. They sat across from each other, the lawsuit between them, Malik's life between them, years of silence dissolving in grief. But neither walked away, because some things were more important than wounds. Together they filed the suit. The class action case against Nestling Baby Co. was officially underway. It wouldn't be easy, it wouldn't be safe. But for the first time in a long time, Lauren and Maya were facing something together. Not just the company, but the truth. The courtroom feels colder than it should. Lauren sits, spine rigid, as the prosecutor circles her like a hawk. Cameras aren't allowed, but the presence of reporters scribbling notes at breakneck speed feels just as invasive. She wipes her palms against her skirt and glances toward Maya, who nods once, steady, grounded. It's time. Lauren takes the stand. The room holds its breath as she begins, her voice trembling at first, describing the day Malik choked on the rattle, how his tiny body went limp in her arms, how the ambulance sirens still echo in her sleep. But before her words can take root, the company's lawyers move in. They call her emotional, unstable. They dredge up therapy records, question her history with anxiety, her fitness as a parent. They raise her divorce, her financial stress, her social media posts. "Are you sure this isn't about attention?" one attorney asks, smiling coldly. "You're not here seeking compensation for your own bitterness?" Lauren flinches, but doesn't break. Then it's Maya's turn. She walks to the center of the room with a presence that silences every cough, every shuffle. Her tone is precise, but her eyes carry fire. She begins with internal nestling emails, the now infamous exchanges between executives pushing product deadlines over safety checks. She introduces Aaron's sworn affidavit, a former employee who confessed the company used unregulated plastics to cut costs. And then, the twist that shifts the room. Maya pulls out a contract. She reads from a hidden clause embedded deep within Nestling's supplier agreements. The clause acknowledges prior defects and limits the company's liability, provided certain payments are made to settle minor incidents quickly and quietly. She reveals that the clause has been active for over 3 years, and during that time, at least 4 infant deaths have been linked to Nestling products. Gasps ripple through the gallery. A mother in the front row weeps openly. Reporters scramble, phones light up. The courtroom erupts into whispers before the judge calls for order. He reviews the documents, then issues a ruling. The class action suit will proceed to trial. The next day, Nestling makes an offer, $15 million to be divided among the families. No admission of guilt. All plaintiffs must sign gag orders. It's life-changing money. Lauren sits in Maya's office staring at the numbers. It could pay for Malik's surgeries. It could erase her debt. She wouldn't have to worry again, not for a long time. But Maya sits across from her, quiet. "If you sign that paper," she says, "you silence every mother who will walk into that store tomorrow. Every baby still in danger." Lauren stares at the contract. It shakes in her hands, and then, without a word, she tears it in half. She chooses to fight. In the weeks that follow, the impact is seismic. Nestling Baby Co. is slapped with multiple federal safety violations. The Consumer Product Safety Commission launches a full investigation. Their flagship stores begin pulling products from shelves. The company's stock plummets by nearly 40%. Recalls roll out in waves. Lauren never wanted to be a public figure, but the story spreads. Her testimony circulates online, reaching millions. Parents rally, hashtags trend. Grassroots movements start nationwide. Nestling's once beloved brand is now synonymous with greed and negligence. An advocacy group for parental product safety invites Lauren to speak. She stands before a room full of mothers, fathers, caretakers, all watching her not as a victim, but as a voice they trust. Her words are not polished, but they're real. "I was just trying to protect my son," she says, "but I realized I wasn't just fighting for him. I was fighting for every parent who's ever doubted their gut." Her blog launches quietly one weekend. No sponsors, no ads, just honest reviews. Red flag warnings, safety articles. She calls it Malik's Corner. Meanwhile, The relationship between Lauren and Maya begins to thaw. There's no dramatic reconciliation, no sweeping moment of forgiveness, just a rainy evening phone call, Maya's voice low, unsure. "I was wrong," she says. "You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for." Lauren says nothing for a beat. Then simply, "Thank you. It's enough." At home, Malik is healing. He sleeps soundly now, breath soft and regular. Lauren sits by his crib some nights, watching him dream, knowing that everything she endured, every humiliation, every fear, every choice brought them here. She doesn't have it all figured out, but she has her son, her voice, and the knowledge that she refused to be silent. And that is enough. The store is warm and bright, filled with pastel shelves and the quiet hum of lullabies playing overhead. It's been months since the trial, since the headlines, since Lauren last stepped into a baby store without fear pulsing beneath her skin. Malik is in a carrier strapped to her chest, gurgling softly, his tiny fingers curled around the strap. She walks slowly, almost reverently, past rows of rattles and pacifiers and soft plush toys. Nothing seems threatening on the surface, but she knows better now. She stops when she sees it. A nestling brand teething ring, nearly identical to the one that nearly took her son's life. A young mother nearby picks it up with a smile, turning it over to read the label. Lauren hesitates, then steps forward. "Be careful with that brand," she says gently, tapping the woman's shoulder. "There's something you should know." The woman turns, curious. Lauren doesn't launch into a speech. She doesn't need to. She simply meets her eyes with quiet conviction, then turns and walks away, Malik snuggled against her chest, his breath warm and steady. She's not bitter, not angry, but changed, hardened and softened in all the right places. As she exits, the screen fades, and a voice, hers, older somehow, wiser, carries through. "Before you buy that next toy, ask yourself, who made it, who tested it, and who do you trust to protect your child?" The music swells gently. A final image lingers, a close-up of Malik's tiny hand gripping Lauren's finger, safe and alive.